We make the streams louder.
What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Surge Motors Garage. Today I'm going to show you guys how to cut and port an RBC manifold. So let me give you a rundown on what we're going to need. First and foremost, obviously, you need the RBC manifold. Second, you're going to need a gasket to put in between the manifold and the head. If you're doing this, you're probably doing this because you're putting it on an RSX head, which is a K28-2. So you can use any manifold as long as it doesn't have the coolant part right here. You just want a gasket for the manifold. So what I got is a HONDATA intake manifold gasket. You can use this, you can use the OEM one, whatever is going to work as just for the manifold, nothing for the coolant. The next thing you're going to want is some throttle body gaskets, depending on what size throttle body you're using. You're definitely going to need an RBC gasket though, because that needs to go on your RBC side first. So definitely an RBC throttle body gasket, and whatever other gasket you need for, if you're running a factory gasket, just get a factory throttle body K20 gasket. If you're running an aftermarket one, get the size appropriate gasket for your aftermarket throttle body. The last thing you're going to need is a RBC adapter for the throttle body. This is from KTUNED. This is their, I guess, latest adapter that they came out with. I know another brand is Carceps. They make those adapters for the RBC. That's the most popular one. KTUNED just came out with this one. The reason I chose this one, I guess I'll explain a little more in detail, but this is because it goes from a factory size, which is a 64mm, or you can push the sleeve out. Comes out. That's a press fit. Holy crap. They said they wanted it in there. Alright. You can take the sleeve out and it converts it to a 70mm, which is the size throttle body I'm running. So, let's show you guys how to cut this. Cut it and port it. So we got the manifold on the vise right now. Depending on how particular you are, if you don't want any scratches on it, I just use the wrapping that it came with in the vise just to try to avoid scratching it up and all that. What you're going to want to do now is you're going to want to grab your gasket and put the gasket on the face of the manifold. You can use bolt. I prefer using bolts. Just throw some bolts in there, tighten it up so you can line it up exactly the way it needs to be, and I'm going to show you what you have to do after that. Alright, so after you put your gasket down, I don't have any bolts on it right now, but you just bolt it down, make sure you line everything up, and then throw the bolts down and tighten it up. This is the part we're chopping off in order to make it fit onto the K20 head. So you're going to just basically draw a line, you know, with a marker. So I'll take this off. I already did it already, but that's what you want. You're just going to make that line right there, and that's going to be your cutting line. And I'm going to show you what you're going to use to cut that with. So to cut this manifold, you can use the cutoff wheel. It's going to be a little harder to get around the curves or to maneuver it. What I recommend is using one of these. You can get these at Harbor Freight. Just an angle grinder with a cutoff wheel on it. What we're going to use this for is going to be our basic straight line. I'm just going to go in a straight line with it. That's going to get our main cut. That's what we're going to use. And then we're going to take this wheel off and we're going to use a different attachment. We're going to use this flat disc. It's a 60 grit. This flat disc is what's going to give us our curves, smooth everything out, and make it look pretty. The next thing, and I guess the most important thing of this job, is safety. We're working with aluminum shavings. Those can get in your eyes, in your nose, in your mouth, ears, everywhere. Safety glasses. That is, I mean, I don't care how tough you are. You need safety glasses to protect your eyes. I'm going to use a dust mask because I don't want to breathe any of this crap in. And I'm also going to throw my hood on. And just try to protect yourself as much as you can. I mean, and in my opinion, you need to, but you know, do as you will, right? So So we're gonna get down to cutting this manifold. I'll show you guys how. So in this next clip, it's gonna be kind of hard to show you guys where I'm cutting, just because one, I don't want the camera too close. I don't want all these aluminum flakes to hit the lens. And second, I can't really talk while I'm doing it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna make a straight cut with the cutoff wheel, as you guys are gonna see, and then I'm gonna change it up to the flat disc and smooth it out. So we're pretty much done here. We cut it up. As you guys saw, might have not been the greatest. I want to touch up on a few tips that I realized as I was doing this. One, as you saw, I was wearing regular rubber gloves, and then at one point during the video, you saw I changed to like a harder glove, a more, what do you call it, a thicker glove. The reason I did that is because at one point while I was grinding and shaving down the side of the manifold, I happened to get close to the edge of the grinder, and it just nicked my finger and cut it pretty bad. So if you're doing this and you're using that grinder, one, keep your fingers away from it. Two, use the shield they give you. I decided not to use it, which I should have. It probably would have helped me from cutting my finger. And also wear some thick gloves, just in case you do get close to it. You'll cut the glove, not your finger. So that's something to look out for. But as you guys saw anyway, that I was, after I made the initial straight cut, I kept trying to go to cut it, that coolant bypass or that coolant port out, and the cutoff wheel was starting to skip and catch on something. So you'll feel it when you get to a certain point. You're just going to grab your hammer, whack it off, and it'll come right out. So I'm going to show you guys basically what it'll look like when you're done. It's just all smoothed out. See, like that. You guys can see that whole ear is just cut right off, and that's where the coolant neck was. See on that side. There you go. So that's basically how you cut an RBC manifold to fit your K. If that's all you're doing, that's all you need to do it. But I'm taking this a step further, and I'm going to show you guys why I'm taking this a step further. So as I explained to you guys, I'm using this KTUNED throttle body adapter, and this is a 70mm. The stock RBC throttle body bore is a 64. So I don't know if you guys can see. When you line these holes up, you see how the RBC is smaller than the opening. If you're running an aftermarket throttle body and you want to port match it, I'm going to show you guys how to port match the throttle body opening. And the other thing I'm going to show you guys, if you look closely when the gasket is lined up, there is like, the gasket's a little bigger than the runners. I'm going to show you guys how to gasket match your manifold to your gasket, so that way you get, I don't want to say optimum performance out of the manifold, because if we really wanted to do that, I would cut open this manifold and port it. But due to my car already being tuned, I don't want to cut this open, port it out, and then have to get my car retuned. I'll save that until I retune it, then is when I'll cut this open. But to port match it, basically it's just to help your airflow. It'll just make it a smoother exit out of the manifold. So in order to port match the throttle body opening, gasket match the plenums or the runner side, you can, obviously you're going to put your, for the plenum side, you're going to put down your gasket tracer. But the way I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm going to put down what's called some machinist blue, and I'm basically going to paint this face of the manifold, the runner side, and then I'm going to put some on the throttle body opening. And after I do that, I'm going to scribe the extra meat that I need to cut off, so that way I can get like a precise cut, or I can see where I need to cut. Because sometimes with a marker's going to give you a thick line, and with a scribe it'll be exactly where you need to go. So I'm going to do that, and I'm also going to open up the throttle body opening with these are called carbide bits for aluminum. You want to use this when you're really cutting a lot of material. Otherwise you can just use like a sanding disc, which I have right here. You can get these at Harbor Freight. You come in a pack of 52 piece. You can put this on a Dremel, and you can, this is what I'm probably going to use for the runners. But since we have to take at least 5 millimeters off our throttle body opening, I'm going to use the carbide bit to do most of the work, and the sanding bits to smooth it out. Alright guys, I'm just going to give you a view on basically how I'm doing this. So the brush already comes inside the machinist blue. You don't need much. All you need to do is just go around where you're going to be scribing. We're going to do that for the rest of them. Then we're going to do the same on the throttle body side. Now you're going to want to let this dry for 5 to 10 minutes, and then we're going to put our gaskets over it and start scribing. Alright guys, so now that we let the machinist blue dry, you can see I got the gasket on it, and I use every hole. The reason why I put every bolt in every hole is because I want this to sit tight while I scribe it. I don't want this to move or do anything funny. I need these marks to be as close to perfect as possible. So that's why it's hard to see on camera, but I used every hole. I put a nut and bolt on it, 12 millimeters. So to scribe it, I'm going to use just a regular pick. And all we're going to do is just basically trace the gasket. And that's going to tell us how much we're going to take off when we're grinding it. And that's it. So we're going to do it to all of them. Now we're not taking much off, let's keep that in mind. I'm just, if for lack of a better word, trimming it just to fit perfect to the gasket. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to loosen up all my nuts.
Take all these off.
Alright. So, it's kind of hard to see on camera. I don't know if you guys can see the little scribes around it. Let's see if we can put some light on it. I see like the little white outline around the blue. Those are our scribe marks. It's not, see, like I was saying, it's not too much, but we're going to grind that so it'll match our manifolds. You can see that one a little bit. There's just a little meat we're going to take off. So same thing we're going to do on the throttle body. I'm going to put the actual KTUNED adapter onto our throttle body. I'm going to scribe that, and we're probably going to start with opening this one up first, just because this one definitely, we need to take a lot of meat off of this. Alright guys, so same deal. I have the carbide bit ready on, I'm using a pneumatic tool actually. This is just going to make it a lot easier. So this is how we're going to cut that. We're going to start with the throttle body opening first. I'm going to be spraying a little bit of PB Blast. You can use this, you use WD-40. Ideally you want like a cutting oil or cutting spray to put on the actual carbide bit, because since we're cutting aluminum, it's going to get stuck and it's just going to fill this up real quick. So you want something to help the aluminum not stick to this, so you can, you know, cut as much as you can off. So this is ready to go, and mask, glasses put up, protection. I'm going to put on my other set of gloves just to prevent cutting myself, but let's get to it. up to 70mm. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch to the sanding cartridges, and I'm just going to smooth it out, because right now it's a rough cut. So the sanding cartridges are just going to make it more uniform, more smoother, and it's just going to make it a true 70mm. So that's what we're going to switch to next. So I don't know if you guys noticed, I got a haircut. Shop looks a little different. I got a different car right there. That's because the clip you just saw was from a week ago. What happened was, as I was filming that last scene when I was porting the throttle body opening, I noticed my camera stopped filming, and that's because I ran out of space on my memory card. So in order to catch you guys up on what you missed, I'm going to show you how I finished up and what it looks like now. Alright, so you guys can see basically the rough cut of how it came out. I started off with the carbide bit. That's what opened up the majority of the throttle body opening. That took off most of the aluminum, and I finished it off with a sanding disc, or like a sanding roller disc, and I smoothed it out with 80 grit and finished it with 120, and it actually came out pretty good. I'm pretty impressed. It's all the opening is all smooth and even. So we're all done with that. Now the next thing we're going to go on to, and we're going to finish this video up with, is I'm just going to gasket match the runners. So the runners are going to be pretty simple. They're all we're taking off is not even maybe a millimeter around it. So in order just to make the job easier and quicker, I am going to use another carbide bit, but this one you can see is shaped a little differently. It's going to be easier to get in to the little areas. We're going to cut that up, just where the scribe lines are, put another sanding disc on it, smooth it out, and we're done. It's pretty much the same process like how I did on the throttle body, so I'm not even going to bother to film that. I'll show you guys the finished product, and then we'll close this video out. And here's the finished product, guys. You can see it's all, well, you can't see how it was opened up, but you can see how it's a little smoother in there. I just did a little bit in the runners. I didn't get too crazy with them. Like I said, I didn't do a full port job on this. I was just gasket matching. But for what it is, it'll help. And that's how you gasket match. It's all said and done. Alright guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I just want to put this out there. I am by no means a professional at porting or polishing or whatever. I'm a do-it-yourselfer just like you guys, which is why I make these videos for you guys to see. If you guys have any questions or you guys are afraid to attempt it, I'll do it for you. You know, I'll show you guys the best way I do it, and hopefully you guys took some good information out of this video. I know it was fun doing this. Like I said, this video was how to cut the RBC and also how to port it. So if you just need to cut it, I know a lot of people, they just need to cut it so they can slap it on their car. The first half of this video is just perfect, how to show you how to cut it, smooth it out, boom, you're set to go. But if you want to do a little more and you're running a bigger throttle body, the second part of this video is perfect to show you how to open it up, how to smooth it out, how to get a little more flow out of your manifold. So with that being said, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Look out for my next video. I got some more cool stuff coming up. Leave some comments, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. All my scribe lines. And what the heck is that noise? Yo, I'm filming over here, dog. Why are you putting all that music on?
Yo, that's how we do, YouTube. We want to give the people what they want to hear.
Alright, this is my boy Danny, by the way.
Just
Danny,
say.
say what's up to YouTube, y'all.
What up, YouTube?
Yo.
Hopefully I get to make some appearances and stuff.
You'll make some appearances. You probably gonna
Who that?
Ain't nobody there. What are you talking?